This is Professor Pelton. This is part 2 of chapter 3, section 6. Now we're just going to do transformations using the parent function, and we will do it by in the correct order. Okay, so if we do the standard absolute value function first, you have an x and y table. Right, well, let's do -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 as our standard 5 points. So if I take the absolute value of each of those, I'm going to get 2, 1, 0, 1, and 2, which gives us our standard graph, -2, 2, -1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 1. Okay, that of course extends up infinitely in both directions forever. All right, so now I'm going to take a different color here and do tables of values for each of these in the proper order that they happen. So A, B, and C. So we'll do an X and Y table. Okay, so X and Y, X and Y. Okay. All right, so in the first one, we have 3 things going on here. So what affects the X? So this is the only thing that affects the X, essentially. Okay, that has to happen first. That is going to move the X -1. So I'm just going to become -3, -2, -1, 0, and 1. So we're going to subtract 1 from that. Okay, so next thing that's going to happen is the y values are going to change. This is going to be a reflection, and this is going to be a translation. The reflection happens first, so it only affects the y. So I'm going to negate the y, and I'm going to add 2. Okay, so basically I get -2 plus 2, I get 0. Then I get -1 plus 2 is 1. Then I get 0 plus 2, or -0 plus 2 is 2. Then I get, what's the next one here? 1. So -1 plus 2 is 1. Then I get, let's see, -2 plus 2 is 0. Okay, because again, I'm taking these y values, right? I'm negating them first, and then I'm adding 2 second. Okay, so -3, 0. So -3, 1, 2, 3, 0 goes there. -2, 1. -1, 2. 0, 1. And 1, 0. Okay, I think this is a new one right here. So what that function did is it did a reflection, and it moved it -1, 2 essentially. Okay. All right, so the next one, we'll use a different color maybe. Maybe how about a green, or whatever that is. Maybe something in the orange, who knows? That works good. Okay, so the next one is going to do 2 things to the X. It's going to reflect it, and it's going to translate it. Okay, so we need to translate first. So again, we're taking these values over here, and we're going to -3, then negate them. So if I -3, I get on the first one. Okay, that's going to give me -5, so it becomes a +5. If I -3 in the second one, it's -4, so that becomes a +4. And if I -3 there, it becomes a +3. If I -3 there, it becomes -2, so it's really +2. And if I -3 there, it becomes -1, which is really +1. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply the y values by 2. So I get 4, 2, 0, 2, and 4. Okay, so 5, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to get 4, 2, 4, 2. Then I'm going to get 3, 0. Then I'm going to get 2, 2. Then I'm going to get 1, 4. Okay, so that is our new absolute value, V, right? And essentially what happened there is I translated 3 to the right. I did a reflection over the y-axis, and I scaled up by 2, so it's steeper, obviously. Okay, so get another color here. How about that color? That's good, I guess. All right, so the next piece, what's going to happen here is we have a translation left 1 first. So I'm going to change the x value by -1 first, and then I'm going to multiply by 2 for the stretch. Okay. All right, so if I take this first value and -1, I get -3 times 2 is -6. Take the next one, -1 is -2 times 2 is -4. Take the next one times -1 is -1 times 2 is -2. Take the next one, -1 is 0 times 2 is 0. Take the last one, if I -1 I get 1, times 2 I get 2. Okay, so all I have to do to the y value is add 2. So I get 4, 3, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so -6, I'm at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I have it. And then -4, I'm at 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Then I have -2, 2. -2, 2. Then I have 0, 3. Then I have 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. Okay. All right, so what essentially happened is I translated left, I translated up 2, and I stretched horizontally by a factor of 2. That's why it's opened up so much, right? So that's the stretch by 2. That's why it's opened up so much. It moved up 2, and it moved to left 1, essentially. Okay? All right. In the proper order, of course. All right, pause the video, try student problems for yourself. And again, the order does matter. Okay, so reflecting back to the first page of what you're supposed to do. Okay, on the first page of the notes, right? These are all the transformations on page 22, and this is the proper order you have to follow. Okay, let's do the default or the parent function of the absolute value of x first. So I'm just going to do the standard -2 to 2. 5 points is more than fine for the assessments and the assignments. Looks like I got pinwheel of death here for some reason. Okay, now it finally worked. All right, so the absolute value of x, so x and y, we'll do a table of -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So if the absolute value, we get 2, 1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so on the graph, -2, 2, -1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 2. There's our absolute value v. Okay, let's do our transformations. We'll do red first. So A, we'll set up an x and y table. Okay, what's going to happen first is the scaling and the reflection. The translation will happen third. Okay, so what we're going to do is, since everything's on the outside, it only affects y, so the x's stay the same. Nothing changes. Okay, so we need to take our 2 over here and multiply it by 3, right? Negate it, and then that's our new value. So that gives us -6. So our next value is 1 times -3, so that's -3. Then we have 0 times -3 is 0. Then we have -3, and then we have, right, because it's 1 times -3, and then we have 2 times -3 is it's -6 again. Okay. All right. So let's see. We make a better -3 than that. Okay. All right, because again, I'm taking my y values and I'm applying this right here. Oh, you know what we forgot to do? Add 1 to those values now. That's the next part. So if I add 1 to those, I'm going to get something different. I forgot the +1 part. So let's erase these and now add 1 to move it up properly. Okay, so if I add 1 to that, I'm going to get -5. Okay, -5. Add 1 to that, I'm going to get -2. I'm going to get 1. I'm going to get, what am I adding? 1 here. So I get -3 plus 1 is what? -2 and -5 again. Okay, so -2, -5, -2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then -1, -2, 0, 1. And then 1, -2. And then 2, -5. And there is our new absolute value for V. Okay. And that one you can tell from it moved up 1, it reflected, and it stretched vertically by 3, which makes sense of the picture, right? It definitely flipped upside down. It definitely went up 1, and it definitely stretched vertically. Okay, so we'll do B now. Let me get a different color. We'll do a nice orange again, I guess. So we'll do an XY table. So the only thing this affects is the X, that's it. So I can keep the Y the same as 2, 1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so we have a vertical shrink by 2 first, and then we negate it with a reflection. Okay, so I'm going to divide these values by 2. So if I divide the first one by 2, I get -1, so it becomes +1. Divide the next one, becomes 1/2, so it becomes +1/2. The next one, 0 is 0, it doesn't even change. Okay, then we take 1, half it is a half, so we get -1/2, and then we have 2, half it's 1, so it's -1. Okay, so at 1 we're at 2. At 1/2 we're at 1. At 0 we're at 0. At 1, -1/2 we're at 1. And at -1 we're at 2. Okay, so the only thing that this one did was that it horizontally shrank, which makes sense. It's horizontally less than the blue one, right? And it flipped over the y-axis, which basically did nothing, because you can flip these over the y-axis all day long. It'll look the same as far as the V does, right? Okay, so we'll try one last one here. So we're going to do the C. So in this case, okay, it's going to -3 from the y, and it's going to add 2 to the x. So if I add 2 to the x, which comes first, I'm going to get 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, then I'm going to -3 from the y. I'm going to get -1, -2, -3, -2, -1. So at 0, I'm at -1. At 1, I'm at -2. At 2, I'm at -3. At 3, we're at -2. And then 4, we're at -1. Okay. Oh, sorry, I missed that one. I miscounted by 1. Okay. So that did a translation to the right and down 3, essentially. All right, that is the end of part 2.